But even the greatest pirate ships could not escape history. As the Royal Navy strengthened its fleets and hunted pirates across the Atlantic, legendary vessels like the Queen Anne's Revenge and the Wydar Galley were lost to battle, storms, or the sea itself. Their mighty cannon fell silent, their oak hulls vanished beneath the waves, and their once feared captains became legends. In the end, no ship was powerful enough to defeat the Atlantic or time. Trace your finger along the map from Portsmouth across the Atlantic toward the Caribbean and picture the year 1718 as the smell of rotting oak, boiling pine tar, damp hemp rigging, stale bilge water, sulfur, and salt drifted beneath dark storm clouds while snapping canvas echoed from towering masts. The Golden Age of Piracy produced some of the most powerful ships ever to sail the Atlantic, but their strength was measured by far more than the number of cannon mounted along their gun decks. A vessel survived through engineering, discipline, and relentless maintenance. Massive white oak futtocks formed the curved skeleton of the hull, secured by hand-forged iron spikes nearly 12 inches long, before shipwrights hammered twisted oakum into every seam and sealed the planking beneath boiling pine tar during repeated careening. The most feared pirate flagship of its age was Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge, a captured French slave ship of roughly 300 tons, carrying nearly 40 bronze cannon after her conversion into a floating fortress. Each bronze gun had been cast from an alloy containing approximately 88% copper and 10% tin, producing exceptional durability while resisting corrosion beneath salty air. Behind every cannon stood carefully measured black powder consisting of roughly 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur. When ignited through the touch hole, expanding gases accelerated solid iron shot with enough force to smash through thick oak planking, reducing enemy hulls into clouds of razor-sharp splinters that often killed more sailors than the cannonball itself. Long before pirate captains became legends, their ships had already become masterpieces of naval engineering. While the Queen Anne's Revenge inspired terror, she was far from the only giant dominating pirate waters. The Wydar Galley, originally built as a fast English slave ship of nearly 300 tons before being captured by Captain Samuel Bellamy in 1717, combined tremendous cargo capacity with remarkable speed after her conversion into a pirate flagship. Her deep hold carried enormous quantities of food, water, powder, spare rigging, sails, anchors, and captured treasure, allowing her crew to remain at sea for weeks without entering friendly ports. Pirate shipwrights removed unnecessary cargo partitions, reinforced deck beams with massive oak knees, strengthened gun ports, and mounted more artillery while preserving the vessel's balanced tumble home that improved stability during heavy broadsides. Every mast relied upon carefully selected pine spars rising well above 100 feet, supported by thick-standing rigging woven from tarred hemp rope nearly an inch in diameter. Deadays, lanyards, chain plates, and shrouds distributed enormous loads created by fully set canvas during strong trade winds, preventing catastrophic mast failure even while the hull rolled violently beneath towering Atlantic swells. Before every major voyage, experienced crews completed careful careening operations, intentionally grounding the vessel upon a sheltered beach before scraping away barnacles, algae, and shipworms that dramatically reduced speed. Fresh oakum was hammered into every seam with heavy caulking irons before boiling pine tar sealed the outer planking once again. Without this exhausting maintenance, even the most powerful pirate ship gradually became slower, heavier, and easier prey for pursuing Royal Navy frigates determined to end the Golden Age of Piracy. Speed often proved deadlier than sheer firepower, which is why many pirate captains preferred heavily armed sloops over enormous warships. A typical pirate sloop displaced between 80 and 120 tons, measured roughly 70 to 90 feet along the keel, and carried between 10 and 24 cannon while requiring a comparatively small crew to operate efficiently. Their shallow draft allowed them to slip across sandbanks, reefs, and narrow inlets where massive ships of the line drawing over 15 feet of water could never follow. Captains such as Bartholomew Roberts and Charles Vane repeatedly escaped superior naval squadrons simply because their vessels maneuvered with astonishing agility beneath changing winds. Every sail had a precise purpose. The towering mainsail delivered raw driving power. Topsails captured stronger winds higher above the sea. Staysails balanced the helm, and jibs pulled the bow through difficult tacks against the wind. A skilled crew could brace the yards, haul sheets, and trim canvas within moments, transforming the entire ship into a living machine responding instantly to the captain's commands. During battle, gun crews loaded bronze demi-culverins and 6-pounders with disciplined precision. Powder bags containing approximately 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur were rammed into the bore, followed by wadding and solid iron shot before the vent received fine priming powder. When the glowing linstock touched the vent, flame rushed through the touch hole, expanding gases hurled the projectile down the polished barrel, and the iron ball crashed into enemy oak planking, tearing through frames, knees, deck beams, and futtocks while exploding timber into lethal splinters that transformed even a brief exchange of broadsides into unimaginable devastation. Yet the most powerful ships of the pirate era were not always pirate vessels at all. The ships every pirate truly feared were the great Royal Navy frigates, floating fortresses designed specifically to hunt and destroy raiders across the Atlantic. A typical fifth-rate frigate displaced between 500 and 700 tons, stretched more than 130 feet along the gun deck, and carried 32 to 44 heavy cannon capable of firing disciplined broadsides every few minutes. Their hulls relied upon enormous white oak frames reinforced by thick futtocks, massive deck beams, and iron knees that absorbed tremendous recoil without compromising structural integrity. Unlike pirate crews, naval gunners drilled constantly until every movement became instinctive. Powder monkeys raced cartridges from the magazine, sponges extinguished lingering embers, loaders rammed charges with ash staves nearly 10 feet long, and captains of guns adjusted elevation using quoins before firing in coordinated volleys. A single broadside from such a frigate could launch hundreds of pounds of iron in seconds, smashing through bulwarks, gun carriages, capstans, companionways, and masts, while reducing carefully corked oak planking into deadly splinters. Pirate captains, therefore, depended upon speed instead of direct confrontation. They used weather gauges, hidden shoals, narrow channels, and superior local knowledge to avoid prolonged engagements against these naval giants. The strongest pirate ship was not necessarily the one carrying the most guns, but the one whose captain understood exactly when to fight, when to flee, and when the sea itself offered the greatest weapon against a more powerful enemy. One vessel stood apart because it combined extraordinary firepower with unmatched psychological impact. Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge carried nearly 40 bronze cannon arranged to unleash devastating broadsides, while her towering hull dominated the horizon long before battle began. Thick smoke rolled from her gun ports, black flags climbed the halyards, and terrified merchant crews often surrendered without firing a single shot. Yet even this legendary flagship depended upon endless labor. Sailmakers repaired torn canvas stitch by stitch using palm needles and wax twine. Riggers replaced worn hemp shrouds weakened by salt. Carpenters inspected every futtock, beam, and plank for hidden rot, while caulkers hammered fresh oakum into seams before sealing them beneath boiling pine tar during each careening. Without this constant maintenance, the Atlantic would destroy even the greatest warship. The true power of pirate-era vessels, therefore, came not only from bronze cannon, towering masts, or thick oak hulls, but from the hundreds of skilled hands that kept every rope tight, every sail drawing, every gun ready, and every timber strong enough to survive another voyage across one of the most dangerous oceans on Earth. The pirate era produced legendary ships, from swift sloops and captured merchantmen to massive flagships like the Queen Anne's Revenge and the Whydah Galley. Yet their greatest strength was never found in cannon alone. Superior engineering